All right, old school NBA fans, self-researched NBA facts. Got another video for you. As always, thanks to anybody who watches my videos, subscribes to my channel. I really appreciate it. Want to give a special thanks to Al Sabag. Man, thank you so much for all your support of this channel. I can never thank you enough. Really appreciate you and everybody who shows support for this channel. Thank you. In this video, I got the best wing players of all time, at least in most reasonable people's minds, and how many bad shooting games they had in the playoffs. Some had more than others, and I understand that some people shot more three-pointers than others, some played in tougher defensive eras, but for the most part, I think it's pretty evened out, I would say. I did not include Dr. J, only because he played a pretty good portion of his career in the ABA. Couldn't really gauge it correctly, so I just kind of left him aside. So I do have Oscar Robertson. Oscar Robertson only played 86 playoff games. He had 9 games where he shot under 30%. That's what I'm calling a bad shooting game, under 30%. He had 9 of 86 for 10.4%. Jerry West. Jerry West played 152 playoff games. He had 12 such games where he shot under 30%. And most of those came, I think, in the last couple years of his career. He actually didn't have very many bad shooting games, even back in an era where a lot of people had lower field goal percentages. He just didn't have a lot of them until the end. Then, yeah, he started piling them up. But he's at 7.9%. He had 12 games under 30% at 7.9%, which not bad at all. It's pretty good considering the era he played in. Kevin Durant. Durant played in 170 playoff games. 9 times he shot under 30%. That's a percentage of 5.29%. And a couple notable ones, I guess you could say. His very first playoff game he ever played, 2010 first round against the Lakers, he goes 7 for 24, 29.2%. And then 2016 first round, game 2 versus Dallas, this was his worst game. He goes 7 for 33 for 21.2%. That's really not very good, but it is what it is. Steph Curry has played 149 playoff games, and I realize he's in the playoffs right now, but that's okay. For the purposes of this video, we're just going right up to the very game, the last game he played against Houston. He had 8 games where he shot under 30% for a percentage of 5.36%. His worst game, which is funny because he's got a few in the finals, actually, a few of them. 2015 finals in game 2, Curry went 5 for 23 for 21.7%. In the 2016 finals, game 1, Curry went 4 for 15, 26.7%. In the 2018 finals, his worst shooting performance of his career in the playoffs, game 3, he goes 3 for 16, 18.8%. That was his worst. And then he did have a pretty bad one. His second worst was 2019 first round versus the Clippers, game 4. He goes 3 for 14, 21.4%. But his percentage overall is actually pretty good, considering he shoots a lot of threes. LeBron James. LeBron James, let's just get this out of the way right now. He shoots a third of his shots within 3 feet of the basket. So that's always going to help his field goal percentage, prevent him from having an overabundance of games under 30%. But he still had them. In 289 playoff games, and I think that it's actually 290. I didn't check the box score of the game last night, but I'm just going to do it on the 289. That's what I have all the research based on. He has 10 games where he shot under 30% for 3.46%. Now, that's a good percentage. But like I said, keep in mind that this guy, not only is he playing in a very weak defensive era, but he takes 1/3 of his shots within 3 feet of the basket. So, some notable games here. 2007 Eastern Conference Finals. Game 6. The one where Daniel Gibson went nuts, the 31 points on 9 shots that clinched it for Cleveland. LeBron James goes 3 for 11 for what's that? 22.3%. The very next game, that would be against San Antonio in the finals in game 1. He went back-to-back. In game 1 of that series, he shoots 4 for 16 for 25%. So he had a 3 for 11 and a 4 for 16 in back-to-back games. They were in different series, but still back-to-back. I always found that kind of remarkable. And LeBron James' second playoff game ever, he goes 7 for 25 against the Wizards for 28%. 2014 Eastern Conference Finals, Game 5 against Indiana on the super team. He goes 2 for 10, 20%. Pretty bad. But the granddaddy of them all, no matter what player you want to roll up in here, no matter what game you want to talk about, no matter what game Nick Wright wants to bring up, I guarantee you he'll never bring up 2008 Eastern Conference Semifinals, Game 1 versus Boston. They were actually in the game, played well as a team. They were ahead in the fourth quarter, while LeBron shot 2 for 18 for 11.1% to go with 10 turnovers. And then he followed that game up in game 2 with a 6 for 24, 25%. You think Nick Wright is ever... He loves to talk about Michael Jordan going 3 for 18 in 93 and all that. But do you think he's ever going to mention that LeBron James in the 2008 semifinals against Boston went 8 for 42 in those 2 games? Think he's ever going to mention that? I think we all know he won't. 8 for 42 for the GOAT. Okay, you have a bad game, that's one thing. But to follow it up with another bad game, yeah, I don't think so. You're not going to see Jordan doing that, or if you do, it's very rare. I just showed you 2 where he went back-to-back with bad games. Okay, enough about LeBron. Larry Bird. Larry Bird played 164 playoff games. He had 10 games where he shot under 30%, which to me really isn't that bad. So he went 6.1% of the time. Again, I don't think it's bad. One notable one was he went back-to-back bad games in the 1981 finals in games 3 and 4, where I think he had 8 points in each game. A big reason why he did not win finals MVP, it went to Cedric Maxwell, because Bird had 2 bad shooting games in there. But again, he was, second year in the league and all that, his first finals. Give him a little pass for it. But, I don't totally give a pass to Bird for this. I just don't. I mean, I include it in his overall resume. But it's only a small little piece of the puzzle, but still, it's not something I'm just going to overlook. No, I don't overlook it. Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant started 200 games. I did not include the games where he came off the bench because he just didn't have enough shots in a lot of those games. But in one of the games in the 2000 finals, he was injured. So I did never count that game. He was in for like 2 minutes or something. So he started 199 playoff games, and he had 10 games where he shot under 30%. For people to call Kobe a gunner and all this kind of stuff, he really wasn't that bad. 5.02% of the time. Now, one thing I want to say is the injury I was talking about in the 2000 finals, that was in game 4. Well, in games 5 and 6, Kobe had 2 bad shooting games, but he was injured. He had a bum ankle. So I think that you can probably give him a little bit of a pass for that. But even still, all told, 10 out of 199 games, that's really not that bad at all. Pretty good. Magic Johnson. Magic Johnson played 190 playoff games. He had 13 games where he shot under 30%. Percentage of 6.84% of the time. However, there's a definite caveat when it comes to Magic. He had 5 of the 13 games where he shot under 10 shots. He had like a 1 for 6, 2 of them where he was like 2 for 8, a 2 for 9. I mean, yeah, technically you got to count it or whatever, but I don't know. I don't hold it as the same kind of weight as I do the other players, because Magic wasn't a guy until later in his career that was shooting a bunch of shots. But even still, going by the letter of the law, Magic did have 13 games where he shot under 30%. Fine. 6.84%. It's not bad. Not quite as good as Bird or Kobe or, LeBron or KD or any of them. But it is what it is with Magic. So now we get to Michael Jordan. And Michael Jordan, it's so interesting. In his 179 playoff games, he had only four games where he shot under 30%. That's why people like Nick Wright like to dwell on one or two certain games, because that's all there is. He doesn't have a lot of bad shooting games. Now look, if you want to talk about like a 36% is a bad game, or 33% or something like that, sure, Jordan had those, no doubt about it. But you want to talk about a pathetic and atrocious game? No, he just didn't have them. He had 4 games ever where he shot under 30%. It's a big difference. And with Michael Jordan, real simple, that's 2.23%. Easily the best on the list. His 4th worst shooting performance ever was the 1997 Eastern Conference Finals Game 2. He shot 4 for 15, which was 26.7%. But that was against the number 1 defense in the NBA, the Miami Heat. All right, let's just keep that in mind. His 3rd worst shooting performance in the playoffs of his career was the 1996 Finals Game 6. And that was, he shot 5 for 19. That was the clincher, 26.3%. And I did a video on this. It was not because of Gary Payton. He actually did good against Payton in that game. It was Hersey Hawkins, believe it or not. And it was mostly in the second half where Jordan just could not buy a bucket. That was his 3rd worst of his career. His 2nd worst of his career is this game right here.
They cut it to 4, but Miami able to respond.
Position, but it took the Bulls so long to get him the ball, and the double team got it out of his hands.
Michael Jordan. Jordan with Hardaway at close quarters again. Able to hit. Michael Jordan cuts it to a 7-point Heat lead. Jordan now 6 for 29, but showing some signs.
28 from the field, but starting to get the rhythm now, just beating Dan Marley, getting up in the air, knifing between 2 defenders to put up the jumper, and then Brian Williams setting the screen. Nobody's showing up to help out Tim Hardaway. Well, the Reds are starting to creep back, but the Blues still with an overwhelming advantage. 6 for 28 for Michael Jordan. The Miami Heat coming into this 4th game averaging 73 points in the series, has 73 right now and the 7-point lead.
And Michael Jordan with 8 of the Bulls, 9 points in this 4th quarter. He's hit 4 of 6 from the field in the 4th.
That was 1997 Eastern Conference Finals Game 4. You saw the shot chart. It was pretty bad. He went 9 for 35, but at one point, I guess, he was like 2 for 22 at one point. So he finished at 7 for 13. So the 4th quarter, he actually did shoot a lot better. But they mugged him the whole game. That was Pat Riley's game plan always. And again, Miami was the number 1 defense. 25.7%. No, that is not good for a Michael Jordan standard at all. His worst shooting game of his career. I got a clip here.
Oh, what a move by Jordan, and he is clobbered. That is exactly what the Bulls did to the Knicks in Game 2 at the Garden. Durant. Then he has been on the floor for the most part in the final minutes of games. Michael Jordan squeezing his way and firing it up. He thought he was
play out of it. No whistle. So what happens is you get a little bit of frustration. He thinks he draws body contact. The officials don't.
Jordan, Tucker, and Armstrong now, the 3 guards utilized by Phil Jackson. And illegal defense. Patrick Ewing, a breather. Williams played briefly in Game 2.
Remaining on the clock, get this shot, and then get the last one of the half.
For the final seconds of the half, Jordan with the one-on-one.
1993 Eastern Conference Finals, Game 3. The game Nick Wright talks about all the time. Yes, Michael Jordan shot 3 for 18, 16.7%, the worst shooting performance of his playoff career, bar none. Now, I did a video on this about a week and a half ago, about how Jordan in that game shot 16 for 17 from the line. So that tells you right there, his shot wasn't off. He was just hardly and tightly defended. He had 11 assists, 8 rebounds. The guy played great, other than shooting the ball. Held John Starks to, 6 points, 8 points, something like that. Great game all the way around, other than shooting. But he still had a game score over 20. Anyway, that is Michael Jordan's worst game of his career. He had only 4 under 30%. Nobody else is touching that. No matter what era, no matter what. As far as a wing player, you'd have to go deep to try to find somebody who's beating that, because I doubt you're going to find very many people, if anybody. So that pretty much concludes this video. There's just nobody else who would not allow themselves to have that many bad shooting games. And Jordan just had that kind of mental fortitude. I mean, sure, you could collapse the defense on him, make a point that Jordan is not going to beat us. More times than not, the Bulls supporting cast would score and win the game. But when Jordan was shooting well, it was done. And most people realize that. So I'm going to end the video with this clip of LeBron James, 2008 Eastern Conference Semifinals, Cavs in Boston, Game 1. This is LeBron's 2 for 18, 10 turnover game.
Narrowed it to 2. Here's LeBron James. Comes up empty again in the first minute of the third. And another turnover. Here's James. And they're going to call the block offensive foul against LeBron James.
Putting it on the floor and looked opposite for Garnett.
James is short with it. Ilgauskas trying to set the screen. Posey doing a great job on him. And they're going to call traveling.
Here he is in the first quarter of round 2, playoff game number 1 of round 2.
Idea let James go one-on-one.
He's a pretty good player.
And off the hands of Barajo. This is the way it's been for LeBron thus far, Mike.
Well, he played the entire first quarter at 12 minutes, and he knows he's going to find at least 2 defenders on him most of the time. Right there, he was called for a travel violation by changing pivot feet. He beats the first man, but then the next, second, and third guy are always waiting for him at the rim.
He's got 6 thus far. James getting his man in a screen third quarter. And James still hasn't gone, and another turnover. 6 turnovers by LeBron James. And James bringing it up. Cavaliers 7 points, the last 7 points in this game, trying to take the lead, and in and out. How quiet it is at the Garden. James pulls back for 3 and still comes up empty. 1 for 10 now for LeBron James. They have Posey on James, and now Perkins. Cassell the rebound, 70 points, and we have 3 minutes remaining. And the turnover right in front of the Boston bench. Traveling called. Clock. James with his first shot of the game, way off the mark. Trying to steal one, as Mike mentioned, but another turnover. LeBron James turning the ball over. And there's James from outside, and he still can't find the mark. LeBron James against Pierce. Tough shot, scooped up. Ilgauskas fighting. James fires, misses.
So that's it. Thank you guys for watching. If you liked it, please hit the like button. If you wouldn't mind sharing the video, that would be great. If you haven't subscribed already, please do. I give daily content. And anybody who wants to catch Angry Old Hoops' live chat, I will be on that later today. And that's it. Until next time.